Good afternoon, folks. We might just get started. Is this working? Not talking it right. Okay, must be working. Okay. As you can see, Brent's not here today, folks, so he will turn up a bit later. We've got John Gorton giving a presentation today. What have we got to talk about? We have a Navy tour coming up later in the year, possibly around June or July, hopefully. Scott might fill us in a bit more information about that, wherever he is. We have our bird sale on the 17th of May, I think is the right date. Scott might give us more information on that. Scott's good for information.
He's sick. Keep having some slack.
Yeah. Just for your general information, since our AGM, we had Kim and Eva come into the committee. Eva is eventually going to take over from the magazine, and Kim has kindly taken over the secretary's job from Scott. We might get some secretary work done now. But anyway, that's about it. I don't think there's anything else. You want us to give a report?
Oh, I always like talking about money.
Go on.
Is this going? Did you have to push a button? Anyway, I'm going to keep it really, really short. The shop is not going particularly well this month. I don't know whether it's been all the rain or the whatever it is, so sales have been way down. So we're really just scraping through, because usually I start this up and I go, oh, it's really good, everything's going great and all the bills are paid. Well, nearly all the bills are paid. So the shop's not doing that great. So if you need to buy anything, just pop over there and buy something, please, because save us. What else? So I'll give you the proper balances. So the balances for today, the 26th of April. Membership is $986.11. The shop is $2,581.77. eSaver's just got $1.30 in it. Events is sitting at $177.70, and that'll be good because we're going to top that up with all the North Brisbane bird sales, table sales, and all that. It'll build itself up again. And the trust is at $49,141. Too bad I just can't take all that money out of there and help the shop out. But anyway, I can't. Okay, so yeah, just April was down 1.2% on this time last year, and so it's just clawing our way back. But March was a really terrible month, and so there's a new product they're trying in the shop is Nutriberry. So that's on trial for I don't know how many months. So if you've heard of it or you like that sort of thing, test it out, and we'll see if it's worth keeping. About the North Brisbane bird sale, that's on the 17th. I'm going to go on radio again, yay, on the 1st, okay, and we just answer all the questions. I don't know if anybody's ever heard of it here. I've done it 2 years before this. I was very terrible at the first bit, and then I'm a little bit better at it. So this time maybe I'll not stumble too far. But anyway, so that's going to go to air at 10 a.m. on the Thursday the 1st. It's on B105 FM, so it's a Caboolture radio station. So they'll just say all the things that we know, that it's still the same price as last year, $10 for tables, $5 to get in, $3 for kids. It's a bargain. The whole thing is a bargain. The shop will be down there in a mini form. There'll be coffee, tea, Bonox, the whole shebang. Those of you who've done it before, it's at the same venue. It's a really good one, Caboolture Showgrounds, tons of parking. It's really good. That's about that. This studio that we've been renting for the last just over 12 months, so we've probably been in here 6 or 7 times. It's up in the air. They're not sure what they're going to do with the studio. I don't know whether they're thinking of selling it or whatever, but they would commit to us doing it this time. I've paid up until December, but they haven't actually confirmed that we've got it here. So we might be looking at another venue somewhere else. But this is so damn convenient that because I paid already, I'm hoping they'll just go, oh, damn it, they paid. And so we'll just let them do it. But we'll see if that works or not. Really not much else to say. Like our new secretary here, which was voted in, which is great, which, you know, we want all your members to, you know, if there's any objections, Kim Pullen, she'll be a fantastic secretary. And that's about it. Okay, that's enough from me. No, anybody else want to say anything?
Yeah, probably should give the members a bit of an opportunity to see if you want to have any objections about me being secretary.
Well, I did try to say that.
Yeah, exactly. So Scott officially handed in his resignation note on a scrap of paper whilst I sit down and volunteer to take notes the first meeting. But I think what you should know is that I've been a member of the Parrot Society since I came to Australia. Got my first princess parrot in 2011, and I was completely ignorant as a pet owner. I learnt so much from this Parrot Society as a pet owner, and whilst I'm not a breeder like many of you, I think I can bring some perspective that could be of use. But having seen the value of the club to me personally in the welfare of my birds now, I just felt it was time that I wanted to help on the committee. So that's why I'm here. My background is engineering, not animal husbandry, so there's a lot that I will not know. But I bring enthusiasm.
Oh, yes.
Jude, you bring enthusiasm?
Youth and enthusiasm.
There you go.
That's what we need. So positive attitude, fabulous. And we love you all. Dear Penny. And so has anybody got any objections?
All right, thank you.
So our president gives his apologies, and yes, we got Rod. So it's finished now, Scott.
All right, basically for the sale, same as normal, as Jude said, birds in from 7 till 8:30. We'll open the doors at 9 o'clock. All depends. Like most bird sales lately have been a bit quiet, so and that's everywhere. So, but yeah, hopefully open to the public 9 o'clock, 9 till 12. It's all wrapped up by 12. So same thing. Everyone knows where they've been before. So any help by the committee or anybody more than appreciated. So yeah, any questions on it? Yep. Caboolture Showgrounds. Yeah. So up the north side. So that's it. Any other questions? Yes. Always. Many hands make light work. So Tara and myself. Yeah, Tara's got a hand up. So Tara's got the worst job because we've got to set the shop up. So we normally take it up, set this up on the Friday, and then she finishes it off the Saturday morning. So yeah. So, but anyway, so that's it. Yep. That's all right. That's fine. Oh, 17th of May. Saturday, 17th of May. Yeah. Yep. John? Yep. At the last conventions, thanks for bringing that, John, I said about possibly running a second sale on the south side sometime. John and I said if you can find a hall, so John's found a hall. I've told Ben, and we were going to discuss it at our committee meeting. So Brent, unfortunately Brent's a bit late. It's his son's Bucks party tonight, so he's going to come down for a couple of hours. He should be here. He said he'd be a little bit late, 3:30, 4 o'clock. So yeah, we're going to go contact the guy, go and have a look. It is at the Tingalpa, wasn't it? Birkdale, that's it. Always get those. Birkdale Darts Club or Sports and Leisure Centre or something, whatever it's called. So, yeah, down on the eastern, down the Redlands. So, yeah, we're possibly looking at maybe August or something to run a second sale. One on the south side, basically. So The other one's way up north. There's plenty on the south side, but for members, if they want to run one, if they want to have one down here. So yeah, John went and found a hall for us. So thank you very much for that. So yeah, that's not a definite yet. We've got to get together. We've got to get time to go down and see it, have a chat with him, see when we can do, and see what. Yeah. So, but thank you. So that's it. So that's a possibility, but that'll be brought up at the next meeting. If we're going to do it, we'll have official notification next meeting. So, all right. Any other questions? The hall's place is booked. We are looking at running another conference, 2026. It's in July. I forget the weekend, so it's a fair way away. If anybody would like to nominate specific speakers that they would be interested in hearing, basically we're just trying to get together a list now. Ben wants to put out an expressions of interest by prospective speakers to put forward their case. So whether that's a good idea or a bad idea, it's never been done before with our conventions. I don't know, like in other industries, I'm sure it would, but anyway, so yeah, if anybody's can think of a speaker they'd like to listen to here, suggest, that would be greatly appreciated. We want to get a cross-section of speakers, so yeah, but it'd be planned for the July. Same place, the Kedron Wavell Services Club. We thought that was a great venue. The unfortunate accommodation is not, it's close, but not there. So I just come back from the New Zealand conference or convention over there. That was great. They have like, the venue has its own accommodation, which is great. So, you know, you didn't have to go anywhere to get to the convention. So, but yeah, that's about it. All right. So yeah, it's happening, but we've just got to organise speakers for that. So, all right. Any questions on anything? Beauty. That was easy. Yep. And that's unfortunately, I haven't rung the company to sort it. We are supposed to be having an Avery tour, but yeah, I've just been that flat out. I've actually been working, John. I've been freaking working. It's killing me. I tell you, put under the pump. But anyway, so yeah, we do want to have that. So yeah, but I got birds hopefully going into quarantine tomorrow. So once they go in, I'll have a bit of time. So all right, thank you.
There's nothing else to be said. We might get John to do his presentation now.
Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is probably about the third talk I've done on African greys. I did have a magazine quite a few years ago. We put it into the Parrot Society, but I got asked to come in and talk about African greys and how I look after them. Now, I'd like to say that this is how a broad amount of people out there that have African greys and will look after it in a completely different way. There's a lot of, for people that have them or want to get one, there are a lot of myths out there that aren't correct. So if you go to buy one or you have one, and just do a lot of homework and ask the questions. It's the same as any bird. If you don't ask the questions, people won't tell you the answers or the correct answers. So I've been doing them now since 2002. We'll get into it. So that's just for the quick observation here. The cockbird is on the left, the darker bird, and the hen is on the right. So yeah, 95% are that way. The cock is normally darker. When they're younger birds, not quite as obvious. But when they mature, you should get a darker cock and a lighter hen but there can be a couple. You wouldn't put your house on it. DNA is always the way to go. So we'll get into the start of it. So aviaries. So I have a large complex that's 20 metres long by 11.5 metres wide with a walkway down the middle. That was the first one I built back in 2000, and it was actually for finches, believe it or not. So I have all my birds in suspended cages. So when you walk into the walkway and that, it's a large walkway, all automatic water. I've only just done all my other aviaries into automatic water, which is so much a time saver. When you don't have automatic water and you're tipping out every bowl and scrubbing every bowl, that's a lot of work. It's the same time as you're feeding, really. So with the cages, there's a myth that if you read a lot of information from Europe and that, they're bred in 900 square cages, they're bred in the dark. Birds are not meant to be bred in the dark. They breed them in the dark because they're in the basements over there for the winter. So there's a lot of myths that you need to just ask the next question. So with the cages, mine are all suspended cages. There's two types of suspended cages I use. There's 900 by 900 mil by 2400 long, 2.4 metres, which is 8 foot, or 1.2 metres by 1.2 metres by 2.4 metres long. That's probably the preferred side of cages. All of my cages are partitioned down the side with sheet metal, so they can't see the next door neighbour. All these cages now, I'll just have a look. That's another aviary I have, which is just in the process of getting built probably 8 years ago. I'll just have a look if I got. You can see the partition in the side there, but I'll go away from there because that's the nest boxes. All of my cages now, because there is a walkway behind here and then other cages, I have the back of the cage sheet metalled in, where the food tray is. All the sides partitioned in and half of the top. So greys don't like to look at other birds. So if you can imagine yourself and your wife, your partner or anything like that, you have a bedroom. It's no different with the greys. When they're in their cage and that, they like their privacy. So that's sort of one of the myths that gets chucked around a fair bit. There are some people that build them in open conventional aviaries with no sheet metal and stuff like that. But what I've found that works for me is a suspended cage so they can't get to the ground. The greys will fly as much as they walk around in the cage. So 2.4 metres long is adequate long enough. If you've got the room, you've got the money, and you want to have 6 metre flights, it would be no different. But I wouldn't put a pair of greys beside a pair of macaws without having a barrier that they can't see. And I probably do the same with native birds as well. Most of them are partitioned, just for the fact that if you've got the same type of birds beside them, you don't get competition. Because if you've got two pair of birds exactly the same breed beside each other, that cock will want that hen and vice versa. You've got too much competition, so that brings down your breeding. So we'll get on to the next stage. So that's just a cage. So obviously, as I've moved along, I've gone away from the tin aviaries and gone to the cold room panel, which is, in the summer, it's 5 degrees cooler. And on the front of that aviary, I only have 1/4-inch wire. So unless you've got a dog that jumps up like a Kelpie or something like that, I have the larger breed dog that doesn't jump up on the wire. But if you had a Kelpie or something like that, or a cattle dog, a 1/4-inch wire, which is just snake proof. It is rat proof as well, but if the rat really wants to get in, they will chew a hole, but I haven't had any over the 20 years that I've had them. But the cold room panel, that's, yeah, it's sort of a bit of a game changer. So it just makes it way cooler. It used to be cheap when I started off, when I first built that one. Now it's quite dear to buy, but I find the easiest way to buy it is buy it second hand. Buy it off an auction. I think I bought my newest aviary is 14 metres by 12 metres, 14 and a half metres by 12 metres. I built that out of 100 mil cold room panel. If I was to buy it all new, I think it would have been about 13 and a half grand. I got it at auction for 2.5 grand, second hand. So there's a few dents and scratches in that, but it's a bird aviary. Onto the nest boxes that I like for the greys. These were actually, I went to a convention down at Grafton many years ago and spoke to Tony Sylvia. And I happened to ask him, I said, the first time I'd met him actually, and I said, what type of nest box do you use? Because do you have greys and do you use a nest box? So this is the style he has. I originally had L-shaped nest boxes, the same for an Eckie with the 45 inside. It worked fine for me. But after I spoke to Tony, I went home and I built these ones. As soon as I put them in, the birds just smashed them. They're, I don't know if I've got, so they're a C section. So they're 600 square by 300 wide. So they'll go into a hole on one corner. There'll be a platform that goes along in the middle, and then there'll be an opening at the end about 200 mil and wire down that face. So they go in the hole, along the face, back down into the boot part. I don't know if I've got another picture of this. So that's at the front, and that's at the back. So the hole will be up in this corner. I haven't got a red pointer or that, but and then they just go in. I have got cameras set up on them as well, where the other little opening is there. And that's just a 2-inch hole, 3-inch camera, and it just sits straight on top. And you just plug all that in, and you can see exactly what's going on in the nest. You don't worry about what's going on in the nest, rest of the box, because they all go to the nest. And sometimes they're made in the nest box, sometimes they're made outside. But when they've got their eggs, you'll see the hen sitting. When they've got their young, you'll see them feeding them every 2 hours, right through the night, everything. You think you'll even see them pulling eggs apart where that chick is late, and they'll be on their 4th egg if they have 4, and they'll be pulling that egg apart, getting the chick out. It's amazing what we think happens and what we actually see happen. For materials in the nest box, I change every now and again. The best one I've probably found out is just pine shavings and peat moss, which you soak in water, mix the two together. When I put it in, I'll put it in about 2 inches deep, and I'll press it down so it actually sets pretty hard. And then the birds will go in there and dig it up like this. On the bottom of the box, I do have a double layer, so I have a double bottom. So I used to breed budgies when I was young, and we used to crisscross the floor so their feet could grab. So when baby greys come out, their feet don't even hit the ground. Their abdomen's that chubby. They have a big abdomen like a submarine type thing, and their feet don't even hit the ground. And most of the time, the parents will feed them on their back until they get old enough to stand up. But on the double bottom, I just crisscross it with a 4mm blade both ways, and I'll also scoop it out in the middle like a budgie box, so that it's like the eggs will sit in there a bit more comfortable. But the greys, they'll move them to wherever they want to. I do wet that material down when I put it into the box too and stamp it down. And then when the birds need more water or want it a different humidity, they'll just get wet in the water bowl and go into the nest and wet it. That's the front of the nest box. I also have a platform at the front. So underneath that, at the back of the cage, are my feed trays. So what I've done now, you learn by your experiences or lack of them, that platform goes right across the cage. Yep, sorry. Okay. Yep, so that platform, sometimes the birds will mate on it instead of going onto a perch. They do a lot on that platform. They interact a lot on it. That platform goes right across from side to side now on my latest ones. So every year they'll destroy all of that and make the hole a bit bigger. They can only make it as big as the wire or the sheeting that I have there, but that front platform every year when I pull them out I'll flock them all together every year, have a break, and that platform 20% of that on the cages because they've actually destroyed it. So that platform also stops them pooing on their food containers. So that's the bottom of I didn't know I had that in there, bottom of the nest box. So I'll just put a dish in it, so it's double 20 mil ply. I don't use 12 mil ply. If you use 12 mil ply, and all of my nest boxes, if I just go back a bit, are on the outside of the cages. Percent of them probably would destroy that. So by keeping it on the outside and having it sheeted, they've only got the hole that they can destroy. But they do, where the L shape down the bottom is, they do chew into that, and every now and again I'll have to put an extra bit of ply in there to screw it on the outside. It's no good pulling it apart and trying to do it, just do it on the run, and I'll just put another bit of ply in there to make it thicker, chew for all they want. And with the door, it's easy access. It's just an L-shaped bracket on a screw. You just lift it up and open and shut the door, and you can have a knock on it and talk to the birds before I open it, so you don't scare them too much. And they don't come out and attack you. If you put your hand in, they'll have a crack at you. And over the years, after they had their first clutch, second clutch, they're more and more defensive and try to have a go at you. I have pulled a couple out that are latched on. So that's mainly it for the nesting. So feeding, on the far left there, I have got the nesting material, which is the pine shavings and the peat moss. But last I did go to because there's a lot more to chew, and it's been just as successful. And they turn it into that. So I just go to Bunnings and get the natural hardwood wood chip. Try not to get anything with a lot of the materials at Bunnings and that, they can have fertiliser and that in because they use them for planting pots and that. So just buy the natural one. I know Barry Blanche uses a lot for black cockatoos and buys EQ mulch. So you can use anything, but they do some things better than others. Food-wise, I do a lot of soak seed. So I buy off a grower up in Toowoomba. I use 2 tonne a year of grey striped sunflower. I don't use black sunflower, I use grey stripe. They will eat black sunflower. Yes, it's fattier, but depending on how much you're giving them, when you soak it and turn it into, you literally turn it into a plant. So it's shooting. If you buy seed from some of the producers or they buy it in from overseas, it gets radium treated and it mightn't shoot. Sometimes if you can find a grower and buy it off grower, it's not hard. It is hard for people that don't have a lot of birds, but if you talk to someone in the club, they will know someone. The club itself has pretty good seed, but just be aware that sometimes you'll soak it and it doesn't sprout and you'll wonder why, and that's why. So I'll put in, I use a 20 litre bucket per day. I'll put my seed mix in. So at the moment I use a pigeon mix. So it'll be a third of a pigeon mix and 2/3 of grey striped sunflower. So I'll put that in the bucket. I'll add bleach. So I don't use the chemicals, the C10 or stuff like that. You can if you want to. It's $30 for 100 ml or whatever size it is. Bleach is $2 for a 2 litre bottle. I buy it in a 20 litre bottle. Cost me about $17 at the pool shop. The pool stuff is a little bit more stronger, but bleach, when you put bleach in water, it dissipates. So that means it goes away. But what it does do, it keeps down the bacteria. So this is what you need to remember. So you put your seed in the bin, you might put your bleach in for the smallest amount I'd use for just a small amount would be a cupful. I'd probably use about 4 cupfuls, which is probably about 1/4 of a cup, in a 20 litre bucket. And then I'll fill that up with water, and I'll actually have a glass tray or a pie dish or something like that, and I'll sit on the top and fill that up with water so it holds the seed under the water. Otherwise it'll float on top. So I soak that. I do a routine of 24 hours. So every morning when I go down to my aviaries, after I've fed the birds, I'll fill up the drum with seed, I'll put the bleach in, I'll add the water, and then the one that's been there the day before, I'll have big sieves from the cheap shop, $1 each. They got pull-out ends on them. They'll hang over a sink, inside a sink. So I'll tip that one that's been the day before, I'll put that into there. This is the most important bit, without rinsing. If you rinse it again, you add bacteria back to it. The bleach has already done its job. It doesn't need to be washed again. You just put it into the sieves and let it dry. Okay, see, a lot of people say the story was rinse it. Well, if you got bleach in water and rinsing it, that would be good. But if you're rinsing it with tap water again, you're adding bacteria back to that seed, and that's how the bacteria takes off again. Because when you, at the end of that 24-hour period, if you get a handful of seed and pick it up, it should smell that clean. It's not funny. If it smells sour, you haven't put the bleach in, or you haven't done something correct, or you've had it sitting in the sun and it's got too hot. So when it rinses, it needs to be not sitting in the sun. If you want to hurry up the mode and get it to sprout quicker, you could sit it in the sun for a couple of hours. But beg your pardon? Yeah, you could. Yeah. If you got hot water on tap, my feed is all done through. I do use town water, but because I'm on acreage, we have tank water, town water. Most of the time, it's been raining that much for the last 3 years. We don't use town water. I do have bore water. I probably wouldn't use bore water unless it's really good, because you'd be adding iron if it's a high iron water. I don't think it'd be, my birds are on bore water drinking, but I do the seed with tank water. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Well, you don't. I can leave if I'm working away. A few years back and that, I would make up 7 buckets for my wife to do the birds every day, and I would come home on a Sunday, make up all the buckets, soak them for 4 hours, and then, but I do a routine of 24 hours. You've just got to watch in the summer when you're sprouting the seed, when you put it into the sieves, that if the sun gets to that, it'll sprout really quick, and it gets really hot, and it'll start to sprout. Once it gets to 10 mil long, you start losing your nutrition. So all seed has to be really is soaked. But once it sprouts, it even makes it a little bit better. Yeah, yeah. So that's what I do with the seed. So I have the sprouted seed, and then I'll add my veggies to the sprouted seed. So I'll end up with a full bucket. If I need more, I might have 2 buckets. So on the left there, I've got carrot, I've got beetroot. Beetroot's very good for fertilisation, so it's a vitamin E. So all your red vegetables, your capsicum, stuff like that, are high in vitamin E. Celery, I use Granny Smith apples. I do use ordinary apples, but I prefer Granny Smith apples. They are a little bit bitter, and to get the birds used to them when you first give it to them. But when you cut a Granny Smith apple, it doesn't go off. When you cut an ordinary apple, it goes brown within an hour. So I leave my food in there till the next morning. Unless they've got young, when the greys have got young and that, I feed them in the afternoon as well as the morning. Because they need to feed them overnight. So I'll mix that in, Matt. So it's another thing I do. I don't use a lot of vegetables. Fruit. I used to. And fruit, if you've got eccolactus, use fruit. For greys, I use vegetables mainly, bar the Granny Smith apple. All the root vegetables. So you can feed them anything, but I use all the root vegetables. So what's that? Yep. Yeah. So I used to buy corn on the cob. If I'd done that now, I'd be broke. I buy frozen peas and frozen corn. Even that's gone up in price that much. You've got to shop around. Beetroot, celery. Silver beet, I do use a bit. There was a bit of a myth around silver beet that if they ate the stalk, it withdrew calcium out of them and that. It's just one of those myths. My budgies get silver beet leaf and they eat the stalk and don't eat the leaf. And they suck it actually. So you can feed them anything, but that's just a mixture of what I use. Endives on the right-hand side are endives. If you can grow them, it's like gold. They're just like, I don't know what else would you call them there, Klaus? You'd be a thistle. The wild ones are thistles and that. That's like a Russian endive or that. That's someone. Yeah, they're pretty good. If you give them to any bird, they go crazy on them. Obviously, you've got to have enough to. You never have enough greens, as far as I'm concerned. Dandelions are probably one of the best. Have all. They just go. So that's summer. I used to the vitamin pigeon mineral powder. I used to use that. I still use it, but very cautious. It's got a high vitamin A content. About 3 years ago, I had a lot of infertility. Couldn't work out what it was. And you always try and you talk to people and someone comes up with a good idea. Oh, I'll go home and try that. Sometimes it's best to stay with what works for you. And sometimes we're that sort of trying to improve everything, sometimes we make it worse in breeding birds and that. It'll be a good idea, like that pigeon powder, they call it the purple powder. The colour in the birds is the next level. It makes their colour, but it's for racing pigeons. So they need the high energy. They don't need to breed, stay in the cage and breed. So it blemishes the vitamin E, which is your fertility. So it took me a while to find out what was doing the problem, and I've wiped it altogether. I still got it at home because I've got a 10-litre bucket. The other side, vitamin D, is a must for any birds, really. They'll get it from the sun, but I do like to give it, black cockies are probably the worst. Superb parrots can be the same. They'll get crooked legs, or they call it something else. I'm not picking it up at the moment, but they'll get displacement of legs and that, and black cockies if they haven't got enough vitamin E. So you can put it in the water, or you can put it over your sprouts. The other one on the end, that's just a calcium powder. I do like the powder, the liquid, because the birds can't see it. When you put the powder on the seed, I'll mix it in and throw it in I mix up in a cement mixer now, because I can't throw 20-litre bucket too much anymore. Come in, mate. So that calcium powder is white. It's really good. But some of the greys, because they're a bit introverted sort of, if they see something different in the feed bowl, they won't eat it. They'll stay away, and then all you got to do is just mix it up with your hand, and they're fine. So there's a few little myths, like greys won't eat this, greys won't eat that. Another one is, I'll put a new perch in, they won't go near it for 2 weeks. So you walk to the other end of the cage, scare them onto the perch, they're over it. They're all over the perch. You've got to think outside the boxes sometimes. There'll be some little thing that with greys that is making them not do something that you want them to do. Well, hurry up. I do use pallets. I don't use these anymore. These were the inch-long ones, 6 mil round. Tropicana, I forget what they called them, but they were the inch pallets. They were really good, but a lot of wastage. They now have got a new one, which is a 4 mil, same pallet, 4 mil round. Scott has it. I believe Scott is now the patron for the getting that into the country. So he's taken on the getting it into the country. So this distribution, yeah. So it comes in a 4 mil pallet. So when a bird drops something, they don't go and pick it up, unless it's something really, really special. So the 4 mil pallet, I've got macaws, they eat it. Scott breeds his macaws on it. It's tiny. When they drop it, you haven't got as much wastage. I don't use that. I do have it there all the time, but they don't eat it all the time. I also have a separate bowl. So when I've flocked my birds for 3 months, from November right through to the end of March, all together. I've probably got 2 days now because I've got too many. And then I'll catch them out at the end of March and put them back in their ovaries. Within 3 weeks, I've got eggs. And I'll pair them back in their same pairs. But I've learnt, if one player is playing up, getting on, I'll swap them out. I don't hesitate anymore. You used to think, birds breed for life and have pair for life. That's a load of rock. So if a bird loses another bird or something like that, they'll mate up with the first thing they can get. So they're no different than humans. So the pellets are good, but they do make them very dry. So they will put them in their water and leave them in their water. Or you can, if you're really not desperate, but if you wanted to give it to them, you can moist them down and give it to them that way, but you've got to take it every day away from them because it'll go off once they're wet. So I have the pellets, the 4 mil ones in one bowl. I'll have them mixed veggies with the soak seed in another bowl. And then when I put them down to breed, I have another bowl, about 300 mil round, full of dry sunflower seed. So my theory behind that is, when they have chicks, they smash food. If I had to name a grey after another animal, I'd call it a pig, because they eat that much. But everyone that breeds birds, they know when their birds have got young, they eat a lot of food. But when greys are by themselves, they'll eat a lot of food as well. But when they're young, the level just goes to the next level. If you have greys in the nest 3 to 4 to 5 weeks old, if you don't give them enough food, they will drop their young off. And I've just learnt from experiences.
John, do you feed an austerity diet at all?
A what?
An austerity diet at all?
Okay, I had this out with Bob Donnelly many years ago. I used to, when I fed my greys, I used to only do it every 2 years, and now I do it every year. It's a must. Because I don't want them to breed at that time. That's probably the main reason, but it does rebond them. So austerity diet. Can you give me an austerity diet? Because I'll tell you what I've done, and over the years I've tried different diets. I've even gone, probably the worst scenario I went to was a maintenance pellet only on that 3-month period. And when I caught the birds out, they were too skinny. They were too far. So the main thing I go to is a small parrot mix. It still has a little bit of sunflower or a peach face mix, but that's as low as I can get them down to lose weight and to get in better condition over that 3 months period, and that's why I do it, because once we get to the end of March, we get a bit of rain, we get a lot of green, and I'll get them to breed before winter. So the main greys will breed all year if you let them, but if you haven't got the food, they won't. But most birds breed in the spring because we get a lot of rain, we get a lot of green growth. That's why birds breed in the spring in Australia. Obviously the macaws and that will breed later at the end of the year, a lot of your foreign birds, because they're not bred here in Australia. So austerity diet, Mark, the best I can do is a small parrot mix, and I'll still give them some sunflower. If I'll catch a few out and they're a bit too thin, I'll give them a bit of sunflower seed.
So you're saying that you feed the same diet every day throughout the year, you just give them extra when they've got babies and coming up to the breeding season?
For 9 months of the year, I give them the soaked sunflower with the veggies, the pellets, and the dry sunflower. But when they go into the 3 months holding, all by themselves, all communal, they'll get the small parrot mix. But I will give them, sometimes I'll give them maybe once a week or every second week, I'll give them a bowl of pellets just to sort of change it. They still get their dry seed all the time, and then I'll give them maybe even some sprouts, or if I happen to get a heap of dandelions or something like that, it's in there. Or I might even cut up a couple of celery and they go, ooh. But when I catch them out and put them in their pairs, back into their cage, within 3 weeks, I've got eggs. It's sort of, if you had an aviary that you could control by air conditioning and have it planted with plants and like had an unlimited supply of money, I think you could stop them and start them pretty much, within a month of when you want. we'll get moving on. Acquired different bloodlines. So I was very lucky. I was probably arsey, if the word probably fits better. I bought my first pair in 2002 off a Jerry Rutt, which is Stirling Bird Farm in Adelaide. His dad was a creator at Adelaide Zoo. He was one of the first people to bring them into Australia. And I'd done my homework. I knew Ken Bird really well. I used to go and visit Ken. I read a lot of articles from Europe and worked out pretty quick that that wasn't what was happening in Australia. I bought them off of Jerry because Jerry used to breed them. The first person in the year to breed them would be selling them. I had a little bit of a hiccup that I got two hens because Jerry didn't DNA them, and Jerry's a very nice person, very good speaker, and he talked me into buying undNA'd pair. And I had been told about Jerry. Lo and behold, long story short, he had 5 others that were getting DNA'd at Curtin University, and 1 was a cockbird and 4 was a hen, and he didn't want to. I happened to ring them up because I knew them well, and found out, which they shouldn't have told me, but went back to Jerry. He said, "Oh, I can't give you a cock, I haven't got one." I said, "Yeah, you have got a cock. Just got DNA'd in WA." But yeah, you shouldn't have that information. I said, "I don't care." Anyway, long story short, a guy from Sydney rung up to buy some Latino galahs. He had 2 African grey cockbirds, apparently, young ones. I was sort of. I ended up getting one of the cockbirds. I took it on, got it DNA'd to make sure, sent one of the hens back to Jerry. I had a bossy hen and I had a quiet hen. Sent him the bossy one back, kept the quiet one. At that time, they weren't breeding greys until they were 8 to 10 year old. There was a few in Australia, but I've done not a lot. I was very arsey, as I used the word before. At 2.5-year-old, mine bred. Oh, they laid eggs. I was so excited, I rung Jerry up, said, "I've got eggs." Oh, he said, "They won't be fertile." Anyway, so I rung him back. I said, "I've got 3 chicks." He said, "No, you haven't." Anyway, so, and I get on very good with Jerry, I must say that. He gives out information if you ask. So I ended up having 9 chicks in that first year. I didn't hand rear. I'm not a big hand rearer, but I did take them because I read a lot of information up until then. I didn't let them parent rear because of the information that I had in my head. I ended up taking them at 5 or 6 weeks and hand rearing them, which was not fun because they were at the stage where they didn't want to get hand raised. The next ones I took at 4 weeks, and I think the next ones I might have taken as 3 weeks. So I bred 9 out of that 1 pair in the first year. And then I went, wow, okay, these are African greys. Like it took me, I only had the money to buy the pair of African greys because in 2002, AMP floated and I had a heap of life insurance and stuff like that, and we were given shares for being an AMP in Commonwealth, I think it was, and I pulled that money together, and that's how I afforded my first pair of African greys. Otherwise I wouldn't have had them. And they just, certain birds suit certain people. I've had Eckies 20 years ago, couldn't get them to breed. I've got Eckies now, they breed for me. Some birds don't suit the way you look after them. If you sit month, you probably will get a breed. But when you get birds that breed prolifically for you, you're doing something right that suit those birds. So a lot of people get a pair of birds, they breed really good from, oh no, I want these other birds, and they don't breed for them, and they get rid of the ones that are breeding for them. I sort of cottoned on to that with the greys. I went, whoa, wait a minute, I'm doing something right here. So I said to my wife, I said, oh, I want to get up to 10 pair. She looked at me like, you're dreaming, are you? So for the bloodlines and that, I then, because I'd bred 9, I'd sold a couple, I then went out and spent the money and bought off as many people that were different and didn't know who had whose, and bought different bloodline. So I set up a 9 pair to make it 10, so that I had as much different bloodline as what you could have in Australia. Obviously, some people would have bought off of other people that would be in that bloodline. So whatever's come into the country, you try to get. So if John Mappin's in the middle of Australia, I got a pair off of him. I've got ones from Sydney, Melbourne. I've got a cockbird. I think I was swapped. Did I swap you a cock for a cock, or? Yeah, you got a cock. Yeah. Klaus. There was an old gentleman I used to know, Scottish guy that had 5 pair at Ipswich. I got some off of him. I got Les Banks lately. I've even swapped a bird to get different. What we call different bloodline in Australia. Is it different bloodline? As different as we can get. So I set up 10 pair and then just went from there. So that's some of the holding cages I have for the greys when I flock them. They're like 6 metres long, 2.4 wide. They are on the ground, on the dirt, which is not a good thing. It's okay if you can keep it clean and free of parasites and that, but you can't. It's a really hard thing to do. So on the left there, you'll see a red bird. It's a hen bird. It's an acquired pied. So over the years, Klaus, Ken Bird, all of us, we've talked about it. Is it a myth, like the red gene and that? In South Africa, they've bred them. You get a half pied, a single factor, which will be red down. It took them, they could get birds out of the wild over there. It took them, they worked out it was going to take them 14 years to get the full red bird. It took them 9 years, but because they pulled red stuff out of the wild. I'm getting pretty close now. So I'm starting to get the single. I don't know if it's a double factor yet, but definitely the single factor. Once you get 2 of them together, you've got a complete red bird from if they breed. So that's just the size of a holding cage. That's only, I think that's only 900 wide, that one. I better move along.
John, can I just go back to your flocking? Sorry to be a pain.
Yeah.
Do you split your females from your males, or do they just all go in?
All go in together. So in the morning, they'll be in their pairs. I haven't got names for them, but I can tell who's who. Don't know, you just do. I don't know, because you spend so much time with them. I can tell they're in the right pairs. In the afternoon, they're in the pairs. During the day, they'll mix all over the shop. I did try to colonise them, 5 pairs, and breed from them. Had no luck at all. In a 6 metre flight, I had 5 pairs, 6 nest boxes. They all worked the nest boxes. 1 pair laid, weren't fertile.
What are the benefits you've discovered for flocking each year?
It just brings them back into that parallel of their partner. Don't ask me how it works. It's like I don't know. I don't want to. That's my sort of like if you go to a wedding, you see someone gets married. You'll go home and you might have a good night or a better night than another night. Does that make sense? Yeah, so, or you go out and have a drink and you have a really good time. You'll go home and you'll continue that good time. That's the only way I can explain it. So when I flock them, I don't like breeding them in the heat because when they have babies, they're woolly, they're hot. So I'll even crack my nest box when they're at 3 weeks. I'll crack it and put a bit of wire there and screw it back up and let the air flow through the nest box. Otherwise, you can lose chicks from the heat. Where did I go there? So that's just a picture of the red bird. She's actually, I was going to download a few more pictures and I didn't get time. She's actually fully red in the front now, but she's an acquired pied, where the older she gets, the more redder she gets. I had really good success. I actually lost, well, I didn't lose my line, but in the red side, I have a lot that I've kept back. You can't keep everything. I've never lost a grey that has died by itself. I did lose 2 hens 3 years ago. They'd been mated from their males, and when the males mate sometimes, if you don't have good perches, or I even have a little concrete perch on the side on some of the cages, because if they're like a chook or a rooster. If they mate too much, they tear underneath on the skin on the side of a hen, and it's under their wing. Spent a fortune trying to get it fixed through vets with antibiotics, and that doesn't work, doesn't heal. So I had to put 2 hens down that were never going to be any good, that were breeders. And lo and behold, they were with my red line, which I didn't realise at the time. But I had kept back young from them, which last year for the first time. I'm getting really good red colour. Which is good. So so the maturity, the way I see it, a mature bird is 4 years old. Okay? If you breed them at 2.5, you're lucky. It's just that the males mature then. And that's what it comes down to. Usually at 4 or 5 years of age, they'll breed. And if the male's got to be in charge. So he'll become bossier and take over, and then they take off. If you can get that, it's the same at school. Girls mature quicker than boys. Boys are always a couple behind, but there'll be that one boy that is more mature than everyone else. And it's the same with birds. So I'll keep on going. So breeding incompatible birds. So a lot of things with greys that you see with compatibility, it's called beaking. They'll kiss each other, or they'll beak all the time. When you've got that happening, it's a really good sign. They'll be next to each other all the time, and they'll be beaking each other. And they're gentle. They're not aggressive. When you get, I have never bought older birds. To a lot of people that I get wanting to buy birds, but have you got them 3 or 4 years old? I can't wait that long on 70-year-olds, and I haven't got long. I want to breed them now. I want to breed them yesterday. Doesn't work that way. Compatibility is number one with greys. I have been lucky in the last couple of years where I've put a 18-month-old hen with a 12-year-old cock, and they're breeding. I haven't done it the other way. I have. I'll tell a lie. That orange hen, 7 years ago, went to sell a bird to some people. They tried to pinch my birds. I was onto it and moved them to someone else. It was a 45-degree day round Australia Day. It was ridiculous, and I caught them all out and took them to my father-in-law's place with a few cages, and lost 2 mature cockbirds that were breeders. That orange hen was one of the hens that lost her partner. It's taken me 4 cockbirds to get the right one to go with her. So I haven't had success the other way with the older hen and the younger cock, but with the older cock and the younger hen, sometimes you'll get a really good pair that are prolific breeders. They'll breed for 3 or 4 years, and then they'll have the cock will be wanting to put her down. And I've had one a couple of years ago. The hen just not ready to breed. If the condition was bad, he lost weight. I was always under the impression birds breed for life, pair for life, blah, blah, blah. What am I going to do? I swapped them. Best thing I ever done. Put her with another cock, put the hen with him. He put the other hand down, the other cock put the other hand down. Her condition come back. So now I don't hesitate to swap birds. But I do get people ring me up wanting to buy, or they've got an older pair that have been laid infertile eggs, 8-year-old, 10-year-old. They haven't bred, but they have laid infertile eggs. Oh, what do you think of them? I said, well, I wouldn't touch them. That's just my opinion, because I've always bred from younger birds, besides swapping my older cocks with the younger ones, younger hens, which I have had success with. I love 3 eggs. They'll lay 3, 4. If you're very, very lucky, you might get a 5. I don't class it as luck. I like 3 eggs because they will bring out those 3 chicks. When you got 4 eggs, a 4-egg layer, normally they'll go through the whole cycle like that. They'll lay 3 eggs next year or twice a year. Once they start laying 4 eggs, they normally lay 4 eggs. I think they might. I've never had any lay 2 eggs, but you can get them. I know the Timners, they're only 2 or 3 eggs, not more. So 3 eggs I love, because I know I'm going to get those 3 chicks out. Sometimes when you got a hen that'll lay 4 eggs, that 4th egg is 5 days behind everything else. And if they're not a good parent, most of them are really good parents, but some of them are exceptional. They'll struggle once they lay that 3rd egg. The 3rd chick hatches, they're in and out getting food, because the female will go out and get food as well, and that 4th egg can go cold, and you can lose the chick. It's probably about only 25% of the time that you'll lose it. Once they get good at being parents, after their first time of parents, it's like a 16-year-old girl without any help having a baby. The greys are no different. They'll stress and carry on, and they can panic. So that's just some pictures of some young, probably about 2.5 weeks old, maybe 3 weeks, and probably about 6 weeks old. There. Normally, every second year, I let quite a few parent rear. So with the parent rear, and they take probably 16 to 20 weeks before they come out the nest. And I must say, a parent reared bird, you can't beat the quality. I don't care how good people can hand rear, and I do a good job hand rearing, but the parent reared bird is just an exception quality. We obviously hand rear for a reason. I don't do it from the egg. Myself personally, I detest doing it from the egg. If you've got a bird that's not going to sit on it, yeah, do it from the egg. But if you're pulling the eggs, that's a monetary thing, not a bird quality thing for me. So that's just a graze. So they're probably about 9 to 10 weeks old, and I'll put them in a large pen sometimes when I have it, and they'll just fly around and get around on there, and then I'll come down and feed them when they're that age, and probably any time after 5 weeks. They only have 2 feeds a day. You can do 3 if you want to. I've tried. I experiment quite a bit over the years on how many times I need to feed them to get a bigger or a better bird. There's no difference in 4 feeds a day or 2 feeds a day in size of bird and quality. Obviously, the amount you feed 4 times a day is probably the same equivalent to what you feed. I'll feed 2 times a day, 60 mil syringe. And once they're at that age, you can introduce all the fruit and veg and stuff like that, which cuts down their food taken. So there's a few red ones there that I've bred, what you're talking about. So you want the bottom abdomen to be. And when we first started breeding them, we were you get the red wash and that through them and that, and a little bit of red around their eyes or a white toenail and that. Usually after 2 or 3 molts, you lose it. But I've always thought that you don't lose it. It's in the bird, but it's not lost. It's just you can't see it. And I've stuck with that theory and then put birds like that together that have carried it from a young age and slowly having success, and which is a long period because you're literally 4 years each time, unless you get lucky. So that's a young cockbird. They even get the red round the eyes and that. I've seen the red ones. I mean, everyone can just punch in red African grey and have a look on YouTube or whatever. They're stunning, the red colours. In saying that, you can't beat a normal in any sort of bird. Thank you for listening. If there's any questions, quite happy to answer. Yes. Fighting? Oh, flighty, yeah. Yep. Parent red, okay, so parent red versus parent red, hand red. So parent red by their parents for 3 or 4 weeks and then take them for hand red. They're tame. They're tame as you want them. They either go for pet birds, sold as pet birds, or they're sold as breeders. Parent red birds, the first 6 months when you sell them to someone or keep them yourself, they're wild. They're like you've caught them out of the bush. They don't want to know you. They'll squawk, they'll scream like a little puppy being hurt, and they're not even anywhere near you. So they're very, very out there. But if you put them with a parent red, hen red bird, within 3 months, they'll quieten down the same as the other bird. As for breeding, I love the parent red birds because of the quality that they are, but for breeding, the parent red, hand red bird will breed earlier than a parent red bird. If I had to guess on the time, it'd be about a year. They'd breed a year earlier, fully parent red birds. Are stunning birds compared to a parent red, hand red bird. No. I would say exactly the same. I would say the parent reds, it's a hard question, that one. You could nearly toss a coin on it. If I probably had a choice, I would say the parent reds would be a better parent. But you're splitting hairs. That's how close it is. And you can get aggression too, and until that, so you're talking about your young. Oh, okay, yeah. So when you get, I remember buying a bird off of Todd Osborne, a hen bird. I think I bought 3 at the time, and I got it up to my place, and I couldn't wait to ring him back. It was so aggressive. It was a hen bird, and it was like a male, just full on aggressive. And I said to him, I think I'm going to have to send you this hen bird back. It's off the chart. And he said, oh yeah, I did see that. And anyway, I said, let me hang on to it for a while. And I put my birds, pair them up as young as I can get them. So when mine are weaned, I'll pair them up. It's just, it's like, okay, we're forced pairing, which we have to do, I suppose. We don't have to. If we had that many birds, we could just throw them in the cage, but you're not going to guarantee unrelated. So I make sure they're unrelated, and I'll pair my birds up early. So it's like kids going to school. They'll go to preschool together. They'll be best friends, unrelated obviously, and then go to school and then to high school. And then some of them will get married or have a connection because they've spent so long with them. And the same with birds. The sooner you can get birds together as young birds, the sooner they will breed as well, because they're more compatible. When you get an older bird, even though I've had success with a 12-year-old cock and an 18-month-old hen, the compatibility isn't there. It's like a 50-year-old bloke and a 40-year-old lady getting together, but they're set in their ways. I don't like the way you do everything in your house. I don't like the way you do this. And people don't get on. It's no different with birds. So the better compatibility to get, and it's hard buying 1 or 2 birds. And so what I done early on, when I set up the other 9 pair, what I done was I wanted to get unrelated birds, because I tried to swap one swap. It's all about making your money to get your money back. So I went out and bit the bullet and bought a heap of birds so I could get unrelated birds. So when I sell birds now, I have swapped a couple to Les Banks and that, but and Klaus, I normally don't swap birds. I normally sell birds because I've got to pay to keep them. And I know everything that I have is unrelated as much as I can guarantee. So that's about it. Yep. I've got to hear you, mate. I can't hear you.
Now they're on CITES 1, has it made any difference?
No. So now that they're on CITES 1, they've been on CITES 1 for quite a while, just probably not in Australia. But Australia doesn't regulate it like overseas. Because our birds aren't coming in and out of the country, and they can't anyway, it hasn't changed a thing. I sell my birds with, I'm just trying to think what it's called, the federal government paperwork, MDSA, yeah. All that is paperwork from the federal government to say that I've bred that bird on my property, or I've acquired that bird from so-and-so, and I'm selling it to you, DNA'd, and it's a guarantee, it's a receipt. That's what it is. And the federal government, you send it to them, and they do it like the movement advices for the native birds. They just put it over there, and they haven't got enough people to look at it. It's as simple as that. And it was mainly brought out to stop people smuggling birds into the country. Everyone thought it was the government looking at them, seeing how much money they might be earning. A lot of big breeders think it's that, but it's not that. It's got nothing to do with money or anything. It's more or less to stop this, another way to stop the smuggling. But thank you very much.
Thanks for your talk, mate. Thank you.
No worries, thank you.
Katie's up the back there too, folks. If you have bought a raffle ticket, please get some raffle tickets and we'll draw them while we're having the barbecue. I think that's about it for now. Ashes leave, can you take your chairs with you out the back?